Hi everyone. I know you only heard from me on Friday and today's Sunday, but overnight I passed 1,000 subscribers and I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for getting me to this point. It means a great deal to me and it's meant a lot over the last 6 months. I can't believe when I first started the channel that 1,000 of you would want to actually watch what I do. I thought this would be a good opportunity to share with you a bit more about my background, as I realised I haven't told you very much about myself and how I got to this point. I've sewn for as long as I can remember, and sewing was in the family, and I always had a needle and a piece of fabric in my hand from when I was very young. When I went to school, I had great difficulty with learning as I suffer from dyslexia, and spellings were the dread of my life on a Friday morning when we used to have to do a spelling test. Sister Bernard, who taught sewing at the school I went to, said to me that if I ever got more than 15 out of 20 in my spellings, she would help me and teach me how to sew. By some miracle, one week I actually managed to get 18 out of 20. I don't know how I ever did it. And Sister Bernard stuck to her word and taught me how to sew. And somewhere at my parents' house is that piece of needlework that I did with her. Sadly, Sister Bernard is no longer here to see my progress. When I was at secondary school, work experience was just brought in for 15-year-olds to go and do to see which way they wanted to go with their careers. I always knew that I wanted to sew and make costumes. And I was very fortunate that I was allowed to go and do work experience at the costumiers in London called Bermans and Nathans, as it was then. It was a great week that I spent with them. I remember the people I worked with were lovely, very welcoming, and some of the productions I got to work on were the very first series of Darling Buds May with Catherine Zeta-Jones, and I did a lot of bits and pieces for the episode with the wedding, and also a foreign film which I have seen on YouTube called Hélène Vert, and the costumes were absolutely beautiful 1880s bustle dresses. I'll never forget them. On my last day there, they asked if there were any costumes that I wanted to see, and I remember asking to see some of the costumes from the film The Slipper and the Rose, designed by Julie Harris, as it was and is a favourite film of mine. And I was very lucky that when I became older, Julie Harris became a dear friend to me. When I finished school at 16, I then went on to study at the art school in Cornwall for 2 years, studying fashion. And after I graduated there, I then went on to the London College of Fashion, studying for another 2 years costume construction. While I was at the London College of Fashion, I did work experience at the Royal Opera House in the production wardrobe, and also we made costumes for the film The Madness of King George and Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein, as well as a few other projects. When I left college, a job was advertised at the Royal Opera House working in the men's ballet wardrobe, as it then was, so I applied for it. And I was lucky enough to get the position, and I was there for 20 years. Because I worked at the Royal Ballet for so long, it gave me a great understanding of how a company works, their rep, because there are some ballets that you might do once and then you may not do again for 10 years, but you need to remember it for when it comes out again. How designers worked, how supervisors worked, and it gave me a very good grounding. Because I wasn't working in the production wardrobe at the Royal Opera House, I still did sewing at home just to keep in with it and not lose the methods and techniques and things like that. After being at the Opera House for probably around 10 years maybe, I was then allowed to supervise ballets. Some of the ballets, or most of the ballets I supervised, there were no designer because the designer had probably died. So you had to understand their methods, their design style, so that you could then make new costumes in their style so that they didn't stand out as something different. Two of the ballets that I'm most proud of that I got to supervise while I was there are Marguerite and Armand, which was designed by Cecil Beaton, and a ballet called Valse, which was designed by André Lavasseur, who had been Christian Dior's assistant. There are a couple of clips of these ballets on YouTube, so I'll link those in the description below so that you can have a look at them. Another little side job I had while I was at the Opera House was, because the ballet girls knew that I could sew, when they got married, several of them asked me to make their wedding dresses for them, which was a great thing to do, and I was very lucky that some of the dresses actually got featured in Hello Magazine and Vogue. So that was just something amazing, and I still can't believe that I had dresses in these magazines. About 8 years ago, while I was still at the Royal Ballet, I suffered a nervous breakdown and depression, which I still suffer from occasionally. But the sewing really helped me with my anxiety and the depression. It gave me another focus, and I was very lucky that the people who I worked with at the Royal Ballet were very supportive to me and really helped my return to work there, because obviously I had to take some time away from there to recover, but they were amazing and made my coming back to them very easy. After leaving the Royal Ballet, I then joined English National Ballet as a member of their touring wardrobe team, and I'm still working with them now. They are such a lovely company, and because the team there is smaller, I actually get to do more, so it's not just doing the day-to-day wardrobe work of running a show, but I also get to do all the alterations and make new costumes sometimes. So it was a really good move, and I'm glad that I made the move to this company. And some of the dancers there I've known since they were children because they went through the Royal Ballet School, which is a bit bizarre knowing that you've known some of these people from since they were like maybe 9, 10. But it was a great move, and I'm glad that I did it, and I'm very happy there. Lastly, there are several people that I would like to thank for helping me with things when I've asked them, when I'm making things for the channel or when I'm researching things. They've been so helpful giving information about things that they own when I know they don't have to. First of all, I'd like to thank my good friend Nick in Brisbane, who I've known for a long time, and he is so helpful providing information about things in his collection whenever I ask him. Next, I'd like to thank Jonathan in America, who again I've known now for several years, and I've been very fortunate to help him with his collection of Judy Garland costumes, making things for him, which is always great fun. And he's become a really good friend, and we talk to each other probably once a week about Judy, about other things, about costumes that are coming up for sale, what I'm working on. It's really, really nice. Also, I'd like to thank Brian and Alex in Los Angeles, who I got to know just under 2 years ago from a post on Facebook. They were looking to have something made for their collection, and they trusted me to do it, and it was a wonderful experience. I loved working with them. We met several times when they came to London during the process. I can't thank them enough for giving me that opportunity and things that it has led to, and for introducing me to other people. Also, I'd like to thank Greg, Scott and Andrew, who have been so helpful when I've needed to know anything about Marilyn Monroe, and again sharing photographs and information about things that she's worn when I've been having to reproduce it. I'd also like to thank Dean, who has been very generous in supplying me with photographs for the showboat dress that I made recently. Lastly, I would like to thank Errol in Norway, who is someone else I've known now for several years and have helped him make things for his collection. I will always be grateful to Harold for introducing me to Julie Harris, the designer. As I said earlier, she's someone I've always loved, and it was a great honour to get to meet her and go to her house and get to know her, as she's always been a true inspiration to me. And sadly, she passed away several years ago. But I will never forget the times that we spent together. And there's a little about me and how I got to where I am today. Thanks again to everyone for subscribing. It means a lot. Thank you for all the wonderful messages that you send to me. Please stay with me and carry on following me and seeing what things I will be coming up with in the future.